Tuesday of the 27th week in Ordinary Time.
A reading from the book of the prophet Jonah. The word of the Lord came to Jonah a second time. Set out for the great city of Nineveh, and announce to it the message that I will tell you. So Jonah made ready and went to Nineveh, according to the Lord's bidding. Now Nineveh was an enormously large city. It took 3 days to go through it. Jonah began his journey through the city and had gone but a single day's walk, announcing, 40 days more, and Nineveh shall be destroyed. When the people of Nineveh believed God, they proclaimed a fast, and all of them, great and small, put on sackcloth. When the news reached the king of Nineveh, he rose from his throne, laid aside his robe, covered himself with sackcloth, and sat in the ashes. Then he had this proclaimed throughout Nineveh. By decree of the king and his nobles, neither man nor beast, neither cattle nor sheep shall taste anything. They shall not eat, nor shall they drink water. Man and beast shall be covered with sackcloth and call loudly to God. Every man shall turn from his evil way and from the violence he has in hand. Who knows? God may relent and forgive and withhold his blazing wrath, so that we shall not perish. When God saw by their actions how they turned from their evil way, he repented of the evil that he had threatened to do to them. He did not carry it out. The word of the Lord.
The responsorial psalm. The response is, If you, O Lord, mark iniquities, who can stand? Out of the depths I cry to you, O Lord. Lord, hear my voice. Let your ears be attentive to my voice in supplication. If you, O Lord, mark iniquities, who can stand? If you, O Lord, mark iniquities, Lord, who can stand? But with you is forgiveness, that you may be revered. If you, O Lord, mark iniquities, who can stand? Let Israel wait for the Lord, for with the Lord is kindness, and with him is plenteous redemption, and he will redeem Israel from all their iniquities. If you, O Lord, mark iniquities, who can stand?
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Jesus entered a village where a woman whose name was Martha welcomed him. She had a sister named Mary, who sat beside the Lord at his feet, listening to him speak. Martha, burdened with much serving, came to him and said, Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me by myself to do the serving? Tell her to help me. The Lord said to her in reply, Martha, Martha, you are anxious and worried about many things. There is need of only one thing. Mary has chosen the better part, and it will not be taken from her. The Gospel of the Lord.
The first reading comes from Jonah 3:1-10. Remember how Jonah had tried to run away from the responsibility that he had received from the Lord, that he was to go to the city of Nineveh and preach repentance. Well, he finally ends up in Nineveh. It's a huge city. It would take 3 days to go through the entire city. He's not finished 1 day's journey when the king calls a fast upon every creature in the city, asking God for forgiveness. The very thing that Jonah had most feared has happened, that the people have turned away from their evil ways, and they're going to be forgiven because God is so merciful. And isn't that really cynical on Jonah's part? People turn away from evil, they turn to God, and Jonah's angry. All he wants is revenge. He doesn't feel that mercy that is part of God's being. The Gospel is from Luke 10:38-42. It's the story of Mary and Martha. Remember, they lived in Bethany. They were the sisters of Lazarus, and they had invited Jesus and his disciples to their house. Martha's running around preparing the meal. Mary just listens to Jesus, and Martha gets a bit upset because hospitality is very important in the Jewish circles. Mary's avoiding her responsibility. She goes to Jesus and says, scold her, and Jesus says, no, she's chosen the better portion. Now, throughout the history of Christian spirituality, That's often been interpreted as saying that the contemplative life is superior to the active life. But there's another way we could understand it in a very simple way, that sometimes we're so busy doing things for people that we forget to recognize the people right in front of us. Getting ready for Christmas, we exhaust ourselves with all the preparations, so tired that when the people come over to our house, we're too tired to enjoy their company. Maybe it's important to treat people with respect, to be present for them more than what we do for them. Even at the soup kitchen, the most important thing is not necessarily the food we give those people, but the respect with which we treat them. Mary has chosen the more important thing. Now, if I were invited over to Thanksgiving supper to Mary's house and Martha's house, I'm not sure I would go to Mary's house because she would stare at me the whole evening talking and forget that I'm hungry. Sometimes we need Marthas, and this is where in community life, in our parish communities, we need a bit of both. We need the people who form the committees, who do the work, but we also need the people who remind us to pray, to slow down, to smell the flowers and enjoy the gifts that God has given us. And may God bless us.